amazing.
Hey,
Awesome.
Manny, yeah.
Hi, Palm Springs. What's the temperature right now? 120?
It's actually better.
Okay.
We're back on our normal temperature, which is about 105.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Normal. But a big congrats on Lover of Men. It's an eye-opening, thoughtful, and entertaining look at gender roles and sexual identity told through the prism of Abraham Lincoln's fantastic life. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Let's begin with you, Mr. Shaun.
Yeah.
Describe the film in your own words and tell us what got you interested in making the documentary.
Well, I've been studying this topic for about 15 years. I read an article a long time ago by Gore Vidal in Vanity Fair, and then shortly after that I started reading as much as I could about it. One of the books I read was John Stauffer's book here, Giants. And this mainly was the discussion was Lincoln and Speed's relationship. But then I really wanted to go to the actual evidence. So I started looking at the letters, and I started talking to people. Maybe you had the same experience. When I would say to people, hey, I've been reading that Lincoln was queer, and people would be like, what are you talking about? And so I'm like, listen, I got to prove this to people. And I wanted, and as a filmmaker, and I have a background in documentaries, I thought it would make the perfect documentary. So over the pandemic, I met with my friend Rob, who's a producer, and I pitched it to him, and he loved the idea, and we just started making it because this medium allows you to feel the emotion of the story, and to see the evidence on screen and to really feel into this. Because Lincoln's this stoic figure, right? He is our favorite president. He's this guy that saved the country. But there's also this love life in him. There's this love and empathy that comes out that I don't think people really think about Lincoln. And that's what really drew me to it as well.
And you were lucky to have the blessings from historians like Professors John Stauffer and Professor Thomas Balcerski here.
Yes, I was very blessed. I mean, the amount of scholarly intellect that got involved in the film, I was very fortunate. And everyone warmly welcomed it because I think these scholars who spent so much of their career studying this wanted the story to come out. And so, yeah, I've been very lucky to have everyone's involvement.
So let's go to you, Professor John Stauffer. What got you interested to be one of the interviewees in the documentary?
I believed in the film from the very beginning, and I felt that I recognized then and still now that the film will reach a much broader audience than a professor writing a book, even if it's designed as a general audience book. And I was thoroughly captivated and enthralled by Shaun and his vision for the movie. I think it's a brilliant movie in numerous ways. One is the accuracy. Two is the narrative momentum that the film builds and creates, which I think is really hard to accomplish. And three is the aesthetics or the beauty. It's a beautiful film to watch.
I totally agree. What about you, Professor Thomas Balcerski? Why was it important for you to participate in this interview?
Well, I felt, again, like my colleague John, that this is a story worth telling and a story that needs to be told. What the film does beautifully is to mix in the narrative of Abraham Lincoln's life with the politics of the period. So this is also American history being told. It's more than just Lincoln's life. It's really a chapter out of our history, and it's an untold chapter. I felt that Lincoln's words are so powerful that to know that he had this intimate correspondence with Joshua Speed, they are beautiful words. And to know that a film would, for the first time, show the actual handwritten letters, to read them, to let people hear how Lincoln wrote these incredible documents. Lincoln's correspondence with Speed, in my opinion, should be read right along there with his other great documents, the Gettysburg Address and his 2 inaugural addresses. They tell the picture, they tell the story of the full man, and that's really why I wanted to be a part of this, to give Lincoln a kind of breadth and depth that this correspondence really does.
And you know what I learned from these scholars throughout the process was it's not just Lincoln, right? We're not just trying to say Lincoln was this gay outlier and he stood alone. We had to create the context for the 19th century. So in America, Lincoln was behaving in ways that were very common. So for men to be intimate with each other was very common. It was very a fluid society, going all the way back to the Greeks and Romans, all throughout the globe. So this idea that people are gay or straight is a very new idea. invented in the 1870s, taken on by psychiatrists, made into a disease. And then the church liked this idea, and they started to mess with it. And next thing you know, there were laws against it. And all that happened in the 20th century. But before that, it was very fluid. And Lincoln had these love affairs with these men, as many men did back then. And so that's what's great about the film, I think, is to have a deeper understanding of the way humans were for most of human history. And what I love about this new generation, Gen Z, is they're kind of going back to that old days where they don't really identify with the binaries. They're non-binary, you know, they're fluid. They don't like to be labeled. They just want to love who they want to love and be who they want to be. And I think that's exactly how Lincoln was and most of humans were throughout history.
You're absolutely correct. When I was watching the documentary, I was like, was I born in the wrong generation?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I could see you with a top hat. I could see you with a top hat, you know?
But Professor John Stauffer, so the film Lover of Men is being released in select theaters on September 6th. What do you hope for viewers to get after watching the film?
I hope that they understand Lincoln in a new way. Some of them already will have been familiar with it. I hope that they will understand, as Shaun just mentioned, the dramatic, almost radical differences between Lincoln's time and the 20th century, and there's been some progress in the 21st century in terms of sexuality. But I think those are themes. The other is just as a work of art, to appreciate the film. It is a major, I think it's really hard to create a work of history and also a work of art, and this film does it.
I totally agree. Do you agree, Professor Thomas?
I mean, how can I not at this point? He really sold me on it. Maybe I should watch it. I would only add that, I mean, talk about a time and place. Yeah, September 6th. There was something happening in November. I don't know what it is, but it might have to do with the presidential election. That's it. I mean, I think this is all about timing. This is about a time to really look back on our history, to look back to another critical figure from our past who has taught us lessons we need to remember. And at a time when, you know, states are proposing more and more these laws that are meant to discriminate against LGBTQ people, I can only hope that a reminder that equality, democracy, freedom, I mean, these are the core tenets of Abraham Lincoln, and that should be what guides, I think, our politics today.
And you know, and there's such a great, strong queer community in Palm Springs, you know, and California luckily is safe from some of these laws, but nationwide there are hundreds of anti-LGBTQ, anti-trans bills on the ballot, and it's a real dark time. But what we hope with the film is it brings empathy and hope and understanding and can start a conversation about these topics, and we really hope people get to see it.
Yeah. In terms of the timing, it's what I would call, in the best sense, a protest film. It's a protest film, but also a film of great beauty and of art and of history.
And you know what else is in November? It's Gay Pride here in Palm Springs.
Yes, I love it.
Well, a big congrats on Lover of Men again. And quoting the film, if you can accept queer Lincoln, you can accept queer people overall. I love that line.
My favorite line too, right there. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, man.
Bye.